Hey everybody, welcome back. This video is pretty much a continuation of last week. Hopefully it's not too much of a mishmash, but it's just showing the whole process of getting everything done and all the ups and downs associated with that. So I'm sure people will say that I'm using the wrong tool, or that there's even a very specific hammer for the job. I had no idea people were so passionate about hammers. But I don't think you need to go out and buy hundreds of dollars in new tools that you might only use once. You can make do with what you have and then just buy the specific things you actually need. And I'm already a low-key hoarder, so I don't want to fill up the house with 20 different hammers and everything else. So my philosophy is like Alton Brown in the kitchen. I'm trying to say no to unitaskers unless there's a legitimate need for one. So whenever I get a new tool, or anything really, I need to weigh not just the actual cost, but the amount of storage space it would take up, how much use I'd actually get out of it, and of course the environmental impact of its production and its eventual end-of-life disposal. But anyway, as you can see here, I'm just scraping away all the loose layers of whitewash and plaster. I was actually really surprised how much of the plaster was still in good shape underneath the paint on this wall, especially given how bad it looked on the surface. So I realized in the last video I didn't actually really explain the wall at all, and it was just like a little part in the very first video, so I'll go ahead and explain it better right now. So as you can see, it's just clay and stones, which is exactly what, if you dug down into the ground, it would look exactly like this. So you can kind of see there's layers, so I'm guessing that they, when they constructed it, built it up like a layer at a time with this kind of mortar in between. And then still not sure about all the holes, but I'm sure something with moisture control, because they're all evenly spaced. And like I showed in the first video, it's just over 1.5 feet thick, about 1/2 meter, pretty sturdy. And then it just has about 1 centimeter, 1/2 inch-ish of plaster on the outside. The channel Make.Do.Grow probably does a better job of explaining it than I do, but their house is stone. I would imagine it's the same concept. There's no foundation or anything, it's just, this especially is just an extension of the ground. So any moisture in the ground come up through the walls, and the lime plaster allows it to breathe, essentially, so that moisture can escape instead of just build up. Otherwise you get damage like this. I'm sure cement wouldn't be the end of the world, but I also just like lime a lot better. It absorbs the carbon dioxide that it emits while making it, which cement doesn't really do. And as you can see, the plaster comes off without too much work, whereas the cement is such a pain. So if you need to do any repairs or remodel or anything, it's way more hassle with cement. And I don't really know how to explain it well, but to me, cement just has like a cold, lifeless feel, whereas the lime plaster has like a warm, homey, just nice aesthetic to it. And at least from what I've seen online, it's also just a lot easier to do than a clay finish, even though those do look really nice. So I'm just gonna stick with the traditional lime plaster. I also forgot to mention the plan for the room, because a lot of people mentioned taking down one of the walls and make like the kitchen bigger or the bathroom bigger, and I actually never even thought of that, but it's a really good idea. It would be really nice to take out both walls and just put one in the middle and have a bigger kitchen and bigger bathroom, but for the time being at least, I'm gonna try it out as just make this room essentially like one giant bed, and then this whole section of the house will just be like the master bedroom, and I'll just see how that works, and I can always change it up in the future. So as you can see, I moved the sink out of the way. It was actually only attached by that pipe, so I just had to unscrew the connector. It wasn't attached to the ground or the wall or anything at all. And since I still need to use the kitchen, I'll just move this whole thing back and forth when I need to, and then this just connects in right there. And I thought this was like some kind of fancy flexible tubing, but it's just PVC that they heated up and kind of twisted into the right position. So, I guess not too surprisingly, this is the same super hard concrete as in the other side, so it's not going to be very fun. So I think the best course of action is going to be get rid of these tiles and then come back with a masonry wheel, cut out some of the concrete so that I have a starting place for the chisel to work around the pipe. So I think the best course of action will just be to come through with a masonry wheel and just kind of cut out a section here that I can start chiseling down around the pipe. And I guess I'll just have to cover everything up in the kitchen with a sheet to keep the dust off. So on the way to the hardware store, I realized I can just use the drill to make a few holes to get a starting point for the chisel, and that way it'll be way less dust and saves a trip to the store. So as you can see, here's the pipe. I probably got enough cleared out here that I can cut it on this side of the wall. And then the other ones higher up should have been glued in by this patch here. But with all this, I think it is time to go to the hardware store and check out what options for jackhammers they have. Because doing the rest of this in the kitchen plus the bathroom is going to be a lot to do by hand. So after check online, the jackhammers aren't too expensive, so I think I'll go ahead and get one. But store in Figueira has more options and they're on sale, so I think it's too late to go today, but I'll go tomorrow. In the meantime, I'll just kind of work on this by hand a little bit more. So for some reason, Coimbra just doesn't have a lot of good hardware stores, it seems like, especially given the size and compared to even smaller towns. And they all seem to be in like inconvenient locations for the most part. There's a store that's like the European version of Lowe's or Home Depot. It's called Leroy Merlin, but it's on Ukraine's list of Russian war supporters, so I won't be shopping there. But I found one called Brico Marché that is actually that's actually a little more convenient to get to, and it's still a hassle. It's kind of halfway between train stations. But there's other stores in the same shopping center that make it more worthwhile to go to. Still has a good selection and good prices. It's maybe like a Ace, if those still exist. And then for like hand tools and stuff, I've found that the China stores are actually have way better selection and way better prices than anything else. So I wish I had known that sooner, because it would have saved a lot of looking around for some random tools. And I don't know if they have like a real name, but I just call them the China stores because their names are usually just like Loja China or something like that. Even though most of the stuff in there seems like it's actually made in Portugal or the EU. Some can be pretty big and they're kind of a everything store. So if you don't know were to look for something, that's always a good place to start. Some of them can be kind of expensive, but for the most part, they're good prices. But when I was looking at options online, I accidentally clicked on this one for Figueira de Foz because it's in the Tavere neighborhood, I guess. Accidentally clicked on that instead of the one in Tavero, which is the one next to Coimbra. And so that's how I realized that this one was having a sale that the other one wasn't, and it has way more options as well. So just making a quick trip to Figueira de Foz. Not enough time to go to the beach, but that'll be a future episode at some point. I'm actually really amazed how much more of a selection there is here than the one in Coimbra, and it's smaller too, but still way more of a selection of products and choices and everything. So it does kind of keep going, so maybe it's the same size, but maybe people are more do-it-yourself away from the city. So I got this, and I tested it out already, and it was very disappointing. It just kind of vibrates. It doesn't actually like hammer, so it doesn't really save any time, and it just takes away the satisfaction of chiseling it yourself. I forgot to mention the price. This was 105 euros. The exchange rate just went up, so I think that's probably around $120. It was on sale. Normally it's 150. This one you can adjust the hammer speed, and that actually, having it turned down actually seemed to be way more effective than having it higher up. I was going to try to take it back to the store to see if I could get a refund, but maybe I'll try it out a little bit more. It does make more dust, and I don't know if it's really any faster. It's easier, but I don't know if it's faster. I might still go see if I can exchange it for one that actually hammers more, because once I get to the floors and stuff, I think that'll be better. I wanted one that didn't have a ton of power because I didn't want to cause too much vibration, but that seems exactly what this one does. So I think I'd rather have one with more percussive force than vibration. So I'll have to go back to Figueira and see if I can exchange it. So I'll end the episode now and continue on next week. Sorry, it's not satisfactory ending, but to be continued. Thanks for watching, and I'll see y'all next week. Ciao.